In the 1780s, people worried that the United States was going to fall apart and end up as several small regional countries like New England and the middle colonies, the upper South, the lower South. There was a group of nationalists in the country who thought they needed a stronger central government. Washington, Madison, Hamilton is the most important ones. Many of these guys had been in the Army and had witnessed the inability of Congress to support the Army effectively. And Hamilton in particular said never again, wanted a government that could do its duty. Under the Articles of Confederation, all the power of the central government was mediated through the states, and the states were really the most important political institution. The Constitution shifts that away from the states and towards the central government. So the Constitution is motivated by a felt need to create a tool that would be effective in managing and developing the economy. When Jefferson came to write the Declaration in 1776, there were declarations of independence all over the country. Several states had written them, and actually a few counties, grand juries on counties had written them. So what Jefferson says he did was bring together the common sense of the country at the time.
People always talk about the original, and that's the one that's handwritten in Washington, D.C. at the National Archives. That is the original because it's the original signed copy, and it's also called the engrossed copy, and that means a very formal handwritten document that officially makes something into a law.
Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, was a marvelous writer. The words of that declaration still move us today. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain rights, that amongst these are so on and so forth. Everybody knows those.
But this document, the Dunlap Broadside that is here, is actually older. It was printed on the night of July 4th. It's the day that the Continental Congress actually voted, said, we're really going to do this, and all agreed to it. And so they sent it to the printer immediately that night. John Dunlap stayed up all night, is how the story goes, printing these things out. They think that he printed between 100 and 200, nobody's really sure. And the next morning they sent them by horseback to all the different colonies. And the idea was to get it out immediately so that people could know what was agreed to.
John Hancock wrote this big, large signature across the bottom of the document. And he said he wanted King George to be able to see it without his spectacles, yes.
The engrossed one that I mentioned before, the one that's in the National Archives, the handwritten one, the one everybody thinks of, that actually was not signed and it was not finished until August 2nd. Making this one a month older. So when people say original, it gives me pause because I think this is an original too. Before this one was found, there were only 24 known copies, and a gentleman was at a flea market and he saw a frame he liked, so he didn't think anything of it, bought the frame for $4, took it apart so he could reuse the frame for whatever he wanted to put in it, and found this in the back of it. It was used as backing material, and so he got it out and looked at it and thought, maybe I should have somebody check this out. He didn't really know what he had for sure, I don't think, but he knew enough to talk to the right people.
The American economy in 1770 was all organized around trade with England and trade within the British Empire. And the war with Britain and the Declaration of Independence just ends that, which raises some interesting questions about why they revolted. Because clearly, by that measure, they weren't being oppressed by the British Empire. They were getting rich in it. So.
The other thing that's been really wonderful about having it here is the reaction we've been getting. It's just remarkable. People who have never been here before have been coming to see it, and also watching school groups come through. It's not quite reverential, but it is definitely a respect that they have for it, and an understanding that they're seeing something that not everybody has the chance to see, and that's something really important for all of us and for our country, and for instrumental in who we are.